May I ask you a question?
And wait a minute. No. You can't ask me a question.
Because you can't answer the question.
Oh, you can't ask me a question, honey. I can't answer, so don't even try.
What attracted the father of the Orlando terrorist to your candidate?
He's a mentally ill individual who ran for president.
I get it.
Pardon me?
What attracted him to your candidate? And your answer was he's mentally ill.
One of the things that really fascinates me about the Trump administration, and something that isn't appreciated, certainly not appreciated by the Trump-hating left, but it's also not appreciated by the Trump-disdaining right, because I think a lot of people on the right, they don't hate Trump necessarily, but they disdain him. They don't think he is a good representative of their ideas, and they don't think he's a good representative of the intellectual right, and that's probably true. He's probably not a good representative of intellectual rightism, but the fact is that he's had this wonderful effect, this wonderful conservative effect, just by going by instinct, but maybe also, as I've always said, he learns as he goes along, he pays attention. And this is something that I think the Trump disdaining right does not give Trump credit for, is that he really does learn. He pays attention and he gets better at what he's doing. And one of the things that has been so fascinating to me is how much better his staff has gotten as he's gone along. And that doesn't always happen. And now he's got Kayleigh McEnany. Now, he had a very good press secretary before, but this is still a step up. Kayleigh McEnany has been around. She's been in media before, and she's worked in political campaigns, and she knows what she's doing. Very attractive lady, very, very articulate, but she also embodies the Trump ethos of playing offense. Another one of my complaints, and I hate to complain about conservatives all the time because I love them. They're not the evildoers. The evildoers are mostly on the left. They're mostly in the media and in the Democratic Party, which is, as Michael Walsh used to like to say, not a party. He says it's a criminal enterprise. But I just feel that conservatives have to get smart about fighting back. And Kayleigh McEnany embodies the Trump ethos of fighting back, and she does it in a way that's informed and articulate. And that is really making a big difference. So let me just play a couple of clips of her and just to show you what I mean and how we could look at her as conservatives and say, oh, that's how that's done, because that's how good she is. She really is that good. So, they've been yelling and screaming about Trump's reaction to the flu. And now they've really reached the point where not only are they blaming Trump for the fact that there is a flu. Remember, people all around the world are dying. There's problems all around the world with this, shutdowns all around the world, but the shutdown in America is all Trump's fault, and the dying in America is all Trump's fault. And here she is fighting back against that narrative, which I just think is an art form that conservatives have got to master, fighting back against narratives. This is cut 3.
In a previous life, before you were press secretary, you worked for the campaign, and you made a comment, I believe, on Fox, in which you said President Trump will not allow the coronavirus to come to this country. Given what has happened since then, obviously, would you like to take that back?
Well, first, let me note, I was asked a question on Fox Business about the president's travel restrictions. I noted what was the intent behind those travel restrictions, which is we will not see the coronavirus come here. We will not see terrorism come here, referring to an earlier set of travel restrictions. I guess I would turn the question back on the media and ask similar questions. Does Vox want to take back that they proclaim that the coronavirus would not be a deadly pandemic? Does the Washington Post want to take back that they told Americans to get a grip, the flu is bigger than the coronavirus? Does the Washington Post likewise want to take back that our brains are causing us to exaggerate the threat of the coronavirus? Does the New York Times want to take back that fear of the virus may be spreading faster than the virus itself? Does NPR want to take back that the flu was a much bigger threat than the coronavirus? And finally, once again, the Washington Post, would they like to take back that the government should not respond aggressively to the coronavirus? I'll leave you with those questions, and maybe you'll have some answers in a few days.
That's a body slam, and it's great. Why? It's great because she understands that she's talking not to Jeff Mason from AP and his stupid gotcha question that isn't going to in any way get us information that we need to have. It's not meant to get information. It's just meant to embarrass. She understands that the enemy is not him. It's the media. It is the media acting en masse as a single block, and she goes after them, and she's prepared. And somebody actually shouted in the back before she left, "You were ready for that question." Like she wasn't supposed to be ready for the question. That is a good technique. If you go back and look at that, you could take it apart. When I write thrillers, I'll sometimes see a thriller in the movies or something that's so good that I'll actually take it apart and just disassemble it and see how it's built. If you took that, you would see she smacks back one time, and then she just blocks the blow, just like a fight her. She blocks the blow, and then she goes in and starts punching, and she doesn't stop, and she's got the material, and she knows what she's doing. She does it again. Here she is talking about this Flynn case, this unmasking of Flynn, which the press is literally trying to bury.
The FBI discussed what their intent was beforehand. This is what they said. What is our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired? These notes, in addition to other evidence, raise serious questions about the handling of the FBI's handling of Michael Flynn's case. Did the FBI confront Flynn with the intent to get him to lie so that we can prosecute him and fire him? Did the FBI manufacture a crime against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn?
You know, it is the way to tell a story. It is the way to tell a story. This is, you know, I cannot say what a big deal this is. If you think back to Mitch McConnell standing up for Brett Kavanaugh under the deluge of Me Too press. That Me Too press that we know for a fact because of the way they've treated Joe Biden when he was charged. We know it was a charade. Remember Jeff Flake getting cornered in an elevator by a feminist activist screaming, "You don't believe women, you don't believe women." Has anybody gotten cornered anywhere by any feminist activist for Joe Biden not believing Tara Reade saying, "You don't believe women, where are you?" Never happened, right? All a charade. It was all a charade. And Jeff Flake crumbled. He broke under that pressure. Do you not think that the reason Mitch McConnell had the spine to stand up for Brett Kavanaugh was because he knew that Trump was flying defense over the press, right? It's like the bomber moves in and the little planes have to shoot down there. Trump is shooting down the press, and that has given the GOP the stones it required, not just to stand up for Brett Kavanaugh, but to go after this Flynn case, which was a phony setup. What do they call it? Entrapment. It was entrapment. And so these things have ramifications. They have ramifications. When Trump understood, and he is the only guy who understood this, that the enemy, the people that you're fighting against, it is the press. It is the news media. Once you understand that, you change the game. And you know, it is a funny thing about Trump because I find myself praising him a lot of times without really, you know, I've never like warmed up to him. I've never cozied up to him. He's not a person who acts in a way that I necessarily approve of because I believe in having good manners. I don't believe in yelling at everybody who disagrees with you and all this stuff. But the effects of what he has done are really spectacular, and that's what matters to me in government. This guy's not my daddy. He's not my pal. He's not going out with my daughter, God forbid. But he is the president, and the effect he's having is great. And Kayleigh McEnany is a major, major weapon against this press. We have seen them during these briefings. We've seen what they do, and we've seen the attacks, the kind of vicious, like mad dog attacks. I called it Night of the Living Journalists. They're like a bunch of zombies, you know, coming after him to kill and devour Trump. And when he criticizes them, it's like, "What do you mean we can't eat your brains? That's not fair. It's the First Amendment. Let's us eat your brains." This is an attractive, articulate, prepped and ready weapon against those people. And that changes the game. I mean, it just makes a tremendous difference at every level of the federal government if you go to work knowing that when the press comes after you, there is a big gun, namely Donald Trump and now Kayleigh McEnany, to fight back for you. It changes the game entirely. And I think we have to pause every now and again while we're screaming about things and while we're being outraged and while we're pounding our palms with our fists. We have to stop every now and again and appreciate how good this administration has become.